18-year-old girl, Samantha of Rosa Parks, refused to get up and move her seat to allow several men to sit down on a bus. It was the law at the time. Young black woman, get up. So these men could sit down, these white men. They took that to the federal court, all the way to the Supreme Court, and won, right? Where were our men then? Where are our men now? Okay? Frederick Douglass, an abolitionist, promoted equal rights among all races and religions and sects. Where are men promoting equal rights among all races, religions, and sexes now?
Right here.
Why do people wearing a mask get discriminated against by people not wearing a mask? Why are people that refuse to wear a mask getting discriminated against people who want to wear a mask? What happened to your choice as an adult? The presumption that you can make good decisions for yourself. And you might ask me, why is this a big deal? Because children are getting taken from their parents for not wearing a mask when they drop their child off at school. Because people, old ladies, disabled veterans, are getting boot stomped by our police officers while they attempt to show up and comply with the court order.
Gestapo!
Our police officers target our citizens politically for standing up for their rights. I've had clients get calls on their personal cell phones, their husbands and their wives, trying to ask them questions about their life and their business related to a client, a civil rights client. I started a law firm because I wanted to help people who needed help. I wanted to make money. I wanted to work in the business realm. I wanted to do transactions. I love entrepreneurial people. I love the spirit, the American spirit of being able to build a business and be free and make decisions. But there's so much tyranny now. We're swimming in a sea of tyranny. There's no time to engage in commerce anymore. All we're doing is fighting for our fundamental liberties now. Okay? And it's going to get worse, and then people are going to snap out of it if we have enough time. When I was watching people in Australia sitting at the park on a bench with no mask get accosted by police officers, alone, social distancing, not sick, it made me sick to my stomach. It made me infuriated. It was heart-wrenching.
Why aren't more people sick?
When I saw that happening in Europe, it made me so sad to think about ripping a child away from a mother for not wearing a mask and walking alone down the sidewalk. What's worse, right? Are we about the ends justifying the means now? Our Supreme Court Justice Bevin has, and his predecessor, have issued a statewide mask mandate in our courts. I cannot represent a client that wants to wear a mask and go into court if I don't want to. Ethically, I can't make it about me. So they've chopped off half of my clients, right? Because I don't want to create an issue with the representation. Well, what I came out here to announce today was that after I saw videos of what's happened in Australia and in Europe happen here in Idaho, I was going to say enough, okay? Governor Little has created little pockets of tyranny. These guys are doing their job, and I appreciate and I like law enforcement. I back the blue. They are our arbiters in this constitutional struggle. When you swear your oath, you keep your oath. That's what keeps the republic together. Yes. So we can't just blame it on the cops who comply because their leaders are not giving them the information they need. It's a constitutional republic, not a democracy. The cops aren't there to do what the majority of people want. They're there to protect the common denominator, minimum fundamental constitutional rights, and that includes your choice to not wear a mask or wear a mask if you want. It also includes the choice to visit your doctor, your healthcare professional, and get informed consent and make your own decisions. It also includes the right to have a lawful, peaceful protest, to be able to have access to the courts without giving up medical information, without proving that you're not sick. So this is directly a result of Brad Little's lack of leadership in this state. Yes. He has created the cesspool of tyranny and the Marxist mayor of Boise and enabled all of the little public political subdivisions and taxing districts all over the state of Idaho to make the law. And I quote, in our lawsuit in Boise County, the chairman of the school district, when asked, can you force all this temperature check and all these mask mandates and all this social distance stuff for the children? Their quote was, I make the law.
What?
Right?
Tyrants!
So,
He's smoking crack.
I kind of wondering who makes the law? You know, that is a good question. Is it Governor Little writing proclamations changing election laws? Is that how we make the law? Is it Governor Little writing proclamations and forcing you to wear a mask or go to jail? Is it Governor Little writing a proclamation and changing the way you worship your God?
No.
Can Governor Little, by the stroke of a pen, tell a Christian they can't go to church?
No.
Can they tell an atheist they can't meet and assemble?
No.
So we forget that these basic rights protect everyone, not just you. So today, it's Aaron and Ammon Bundy, and the media have an easy job of stealing the PR there because they're domestic terrorists. Nobody believes it. Well, who's the last person they attacked?
Casey Baker.
I mean, who's the last person those guys attacked?
Ammon and Aaron. Nobody.
Right? They weren't attacking anyone. They were showing up pursuant to a court order.
Yes.
And they got attacked. Where's the justice for that? Where is Lawrence Wasden? I do not like having to call them out. It's their job, it's their duty. Okay? So I'm here today to stand with every single person as an attorney to break the bystander effect. If you've been arrested for a failure to appear by trying to show up to a court for a court date and they have arrested you or issued a warrant for your arrest, call our law firm. We will put together a team of attorneys who will help represent every single one of you. Not one single person of Idaho deserves to fall through the cracks of justice. Unfortunately, justice is no longer blind. Justice sees. Justice sees color. Justice sees gender. Justice sees your medical decision preferences. Justice sees the way you understand, should the federal government own over 2/3 of the western lands?
No.
Justice sees how you pay for food. Are you going to get washed up in the sea of tyranny, or are you going to stand on God's promise?
Amen.
Okay? So we're we're a small group, but we're powerful.
Oh, yeah.
You remember David? And when he got up to the battle line,
Amen, brother.
did he hobble down to the field to slay the giant? No, he sprinted towards Goliath.
That's right.
And not only did he prevail, but he took Goliath's own sword and cut off Goliath's head. Right? What we have here is we have a hydra, a Medusa with many heads.
Yes.
And they pretend to be for you, and they're for themselves.
Yes. Yes.
If you're oppressed by federal government, then you better start here, because you're not going to do anything to change who the president is, who the representatives are, who, the unelected bureaucrats, like the BLM SWAT team, why do we even have one of those? Our own state guys can't do it. So I want our own people in the state to start digging into our local political subdivisions. You have to get on the weather modification board. You have to get on the health district boards. You have to go get at the library districts. You have to start on a small level. So we're also putting together a nonprofit. It's called Judicial Guard. We already have the servers. And we're going to be doing public records requests, collecting data from every single elected official in Idaho. You're not going to be able to have a mimosa for breakfast without my group knowing about it. Okay? And then we're going to collate that. And then we're going to rank you. And we're going to call it the Marxist Index. Okay? And then everyone in Idaho will know where you stand. And I have a few people that I'm pretty sure are going to end up at the top of the list. And I have a few people that I think will end up at the top of the list, and you'll be surprised. So before these gentlemen were released from prison, I call it prison, it's jail, it's the same thing.
Torture.
It's torture. Before they were boot stomped and tortured. And I watched the video, I thought, we have a place to go to redress grievance in this state, right? We can come to the legislature, we could change the law. Well, there is a House Bill 281 that removes all authority from the state and the political subdivisions to mandate masks.
Right.
Why is it their business? Okay? I say we all make our own decisions and we all freely associate. You forget that if you don't have the ability to make the choice, you can't freely associate. It removes that right by implication. If you tell people what they have to do to get together, you change the assembly. There's an old Latin maxim. If you change the way you worship, you change how you worship. Okay? So for a while there, Tyrant Little, it was literally illegal for your pastor to come over to your house and do communion with you one-on-one. Okay? But you could get an abortion, you could go to the liquor store, you could get pizza delivered, and you could go to the big box stores and shop. Okay? And I'm not calling those activities out like I'm opposed to them or I support them. But think about free assembly and how they're changing your behaviors and your choices. They're restricting it. Now they're going to let it up, but not quite as much, right? So they're going to restrict it, and then they're going to let it up a little bit. And that's going to keep happening.
It's been happening.
My heart breaks because of the school children and the old folks who are getting just totally demolished. I've had doctors reach out to me and tell me they'll let you in, you just have to demand it. But they can't be an activist in the hospital because they'll get fired. Right? All these hospital districts that use taxpayer money, we'll fire them. Well, guess what? Elect new trustees, and then you control the money and what the hospital does. So I represented a hospital district one time, and we had a board member sue saying there was something that was illegal. Well, we could have voted to create our own integrative medical clinic if we wanted, but we didn't do that. Why? Because there's so much conflict of interest between these private hospitals and these taxing districts. It's so intertwined that nobody knows the depth of the corruption. It's not, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. It's an orgy of back scratching, right? And it meets here. And they get their power by projecting what they're doing that's illegal on you. And they say, now you're doing it because you're an asymptomatic spreader. So we can't trust you to not infect someone. So today it's parents having their children get taken. Tomorrow it's, some of y'all are jumpy out there. Okay, you need to relax a little bit. Today it's parents getting their children taken away because they weren't wearing a mask. Tomorrow it's the cops are spying on you and following you around now because you're a domestic terrorist. And all you're really doing is engaging in First Amendment protected activity.
That's right. Exactly.
So why do cops not understand this is a constitutional republic and they're bound by the law? Is that too much to ask?
It is.
Apparently.
Yeah. You want to know why? Because their leaders condone it.
Right.
And not only do their leaders condone it, they encourage it.
Yes.
Order it.
Has any lawyer or cop or judge or elected official out there stood up and said, Brad Little can't change the law by writing a proclamation. The judge can't deny access to courts. Well, the people who do, they get cast aside as fringe. But I'm telling you, I've studied election fraud, and you would be surprised at what's out there. It's happening in our backyard too. So what we're going to do is we are going to run candidates all over the state. And there's deadlines coming up for November election. You got to go out and get your signatures March 19th. It's like Thursday or Friday. You got to go out there and get on a board. If the Lord puts it on your heart, do it. And then if you lose, and you lose in the right way, you can challenge it. And we can do audits. And we'll start digging in. So be focused on that. We're out here seeking relief and a remedy. We know we can't get it from the courts because they won't even let us in. And then their guys boot stomp us. We know our legislators won't do it. There's a small group of them who will, but not enough. And then there's very few cops who will stand up for your rights.
That's right.
So they're demonizing us because they're saying we're violent. But I'm not seeing any violence.
Except on their part.
The violence is on their part. So where do we go now to seek relief? If we can't go to the courts, if the legislature isn't doing it, and the attorney general and the governor are not doing it. So I have a question. People go and protest at your house, right? So there are kids here, so I'm gonna
Keep it PG.
If you don't want people protesting at your house, don't do stupid stuff. Right?
That's right.
If you don't want the public to speak out about injustices, stop perpetuating injustices. Okay, so I'm pushing a controversial bill and people don't like it and they're going to come to my house and protest, so now I'm going to pass a special law to protect me. Does that sound like a man or a leader that you want leading your state?
That's what Cheney just did.
One of them that voted for the great change.
So my question for you guys is, what do we do? What do we do?
Get him out.
We keep pushing. I'm going to do my part.
Vote them out.
We can't. We have election fraud.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything that I can to help people, everybody, not just a white male or a black woman or a transgender person. The maxim of the public defender is that you have to defend the worst of the worst, because if the state can violate their constitutional rights, they can violate yours. Right? So why would you cast aspersions on a person representing a racist person or a rapist or anyone? If the state can trample your rights, that person's rights, they can trample ours. So we will have no justice and we will have no equality without justice being blind again. For every person, right? From militias to Antifa, they all deserve the same standard of respect from the government. So my plea for you guys is that you would receive the light and that you would be emboldened and passionate. And I wasn't going to announce beyond the legal issue. I wasn't going to announce the next thing because I didn't want to steal their thunder, the 7 gentlemen's thunder, and also the 10 people in Kootenai County, their thunder as well, right? But little people can make great changes, right? Small, insignificant people can make great changes.
What's your name, Little?
So, how you doing? So, I'm going to announce today that I'm going to run for Attorney General of the state of Idaho. And then those guys standing over there, they're going to work for me. Right? And we're going to ensure that every single one of you gets equal access to justice. Right? That's our mission.
God's mission too.
That's our mission. And we're going to have to do it together. There's no way I'm going to win, right? There's no way the establishment is going to support me. But I'm not going to quit, and they can't make me stop. So I'm really interested to see how the debates this year are going to change, right? Let's talk about all the softball stuff. Let's not get into really what's affecting everyone's lives, right? Why is there so much race division? Right? Why do we have so much McCarthyism? Russia, Russia, Russia. Right? Why do we have areas where, like, Proud Boys have their own little block and Antifa has their own little block? Whatever just happened to people getting boot stomped by the government? Is that not enough? So, make the commitment to go back to your local community and get involved. We have to fix our election systems first. And I'm going to do that.
Paper ballot.
We're going to help you.
That's
And then
right. We all
you can
have to-
also fix the election systems, because it doesn't happen here. It happens in the county,
Right.
right? So they have locks and keys and jump drives and thumb drives, and they've got dudes that from the deep state trust me. Let me tell you another statistic, something that makes me just cringe. And I'll try and keep it PG. There's a guy who started a human trafficking organization over 20 years ago. He was an agency guy in the deep state, you know, think SEAL team, think CIA and all that. He said in a recent interview, for 19 years, he has not rescued one female girl under the age of 18 that has not been raped by a law enforcement officer. Think about this as well.
Okay, let him finish, please.
Sorry, I'm leaving, but my
We-
daughter got murdered by fucking traffickers.
We appreciate your thoughts. Thank you.
So just know I'm with you, but I gotta go find some statues because they gave me a fucking, what the hell is that thing? Senator Lately gave me a privilege committee.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
fucking.
What's your name?
Penny.
Penny. Thank you
Please
for your thoughts.
support it. And you guys fucking move on, rock on.
Here's the other statistic. See, this is a bipartisan issue. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue. This isn't a white-black issue.
That's upholding the law, the constitutional law.
Okay, so here's the other statistic. He said, from his personal experience, that there's typically 2 to 3 law enforcement officers in every agency that's involved in the trafficking. They have to have a gatekeeper, all right? There's always someone on the chain, typically at the top of a triangle, who has the access to make a decision. So if we start thinking about how they work, we can start rooting them out. My thought is, how many people in here are gatekeepers?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name them? We can name them. They're there.
Why do our law enforcement agencies have like one officer in the Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force?
Not enough. Nowhere near enough.
What a disgrace.
Is that enough manpower? Are we too busy? Are we too busy busting people smoking pot? Does that sound like a better thing to spend our time with? Are we too busy sending those guys over there because they're scared of Ammon Bundy, who's like being totally peaceful trying to get into the court? And all his other buddies?
For hours.
Look, guys, I'm not trying to push some weird, wacky partisan agenda, but I do know that a lot of the conspiracy theories are just conspiracy facts, okay?
It's true.
But they're 90% true.
Yep.
And the power is in the deception,
Right.
okay? It's just a little bit of deception. So my job isn't to prove the 90%. It's to find the 10. And then the people get to handle the rest. So my heart is not for armed insurrection, not for violence, but they're placing us into a position where we're going to have to deal with that.
We have to defend ourselves. They're leaving We have us to without defend a our choice. bodies.
It's going to happen if we keep going down this road. What we want is an alternative. So, if you are a billionaire agriculturalist or you own a massive manufacturing plant that goes along with it, or you have huge industry in the state of Idaho, or you're just a middle-class person that's afraid to lose your job, when we get progressive taxation in and nationalization of your business, the mom and pop shop, after COVID, wiped half of them out, none are going to come back.
Right.
That's devastating, but I see this as an opportunity. Okay? An opportunity to build consensus through making people truly wealthy. Clean water, clean air, clean food, having children be able to raise by family members or people that want to care for them. Foster parents, guardians. So we need to do a little work on our Department of Health and Welfare, right?
Clean house.
We need to get rid of some of the conflicts of interest that exist and some of the like land board type stuff, the utility commission stuff. And we need to start taking that power back a little bit. And we're not going to be able to do it through the courts. Okay? So you can have men and women be your voice, but you're going to have to follow up. Okay? So give me some tips. Give me some advice. What's the next step here? What do we do? Do we just protest?
No, we've got to get
More than
involved
that.
under the law.
Time to litigate!
Can't go into court.
That's true.
Dang it.
Well,
Sounded good.
I had something there for a moment.
let's get involved with the local government, precinct committeemen.
Yeah.
You know,
We have to make a change.
seriously, we got to get
Who's
involved.
representing us?
Like you said,
Because that's the problem.
local government.
A
That's
lot of
where
them
it
aren't
starts.
representing us, but they're
Well,
in
it's
a
not
position.
even that. Even those that can represent us are unable to.
Oh, of course. Or they're paid off.
You could start your own central committee. Run your own candidate.
That's right.
Take the power
That's what
back.
we need to do.
Their social media companies are dying, and there's a lot of distributed networks that are arising in payment systems and messaging. Seek those out and get involved. There's ways to communicate without getting your voice squelched. If I'm elected as Attorney General, not one single person is going to have Facebook coming here and turning you off because of the content of your feed. That's gone, right? What are they doing about that? They're operating within the state of Idaho, and they're turning your voice off. But not theirs, right? So, I mean, I don't want to get too negative here because I'm starting to go real negative because we're all feeling that way. But my heart is with every single person right now who's getting boot stomped. And so I came here today to make that commitment. And so if you want to reach out to our firm, you can reach us at our office number 208-304-6852. You can also email us at info@cboyleslaw.com. info@cboyleslaw.com. We're going to watch this catch like wildfire.
Yes.
I'm going to have a big rally. Everybody's going to want to be there. We're going to get like Don Jr. or Trump to come drop in on it or something. And they're going to go from, oh, you don't have any name recognition, you don't stand a chance, to, whoa, they just ripped our face off. Right? And everybody standing here right now today is going to remember that.
Yes. Yes, they will.
And then when you have the next challenge that you're going to face, you're going to remember how this little ragtag crew of pro bono kicked him in the teeth.
Yes.
So, we did force Governor Little to not restrict religious activity. We did that. Judge Nye stood up and said we're not going to stand for this, right? We're working on the school districts. But when I go in there and I argue, the judge has the video off until we're done arguing, and then he turns it on and he's wearing a mask. Right?
How do you know it's the judge?
Exactly. How do I know it's the judge?
Secret court!
When we sue the Panhandle Health District for their mask mandate, and then they drop it, and then we get everything dropped, then they go do it again.
Yep.
It's just this moving target.
Right.
But both of our sheriffs, Sheriff Delaware Wheeler and the newly elected sheriff in Kootenai County, came out and made press releases and said they're not going to enforce it. So nobody cares. Nobody cares what the Panhandle Health District has to say. That's not a positive thing for government. For having them issue decrees with the penalty of jail and no one cares. You can see how far astray, how far off we've come. We should be respecting these people because they have special knowledge and they're going to stay within the bounds of the law. But whenever they act apart from it, you have a duty to peacefully resist, right? But be prepared, because you've seen what's happened when you peacefully resist. Okay? So you got to be ready. You got to be spiritually ready for that.
Colton, people are already asking where they can donate for your campaign.
I'm gonna file the C1 and then we can take money.
All right.
That's my legal discretion. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. I'll read a quote about Claudette Colvin in 1955. Colvin grew up in Montgomery, Alabama in 1939 and was a student at a segregated high school. She was returning home from school on the bus on March 2nd, 1955, where she was sitting in the middle section. Several white people got on the bus and were standing. The bus driver ordered Colvin and 3 other black men to give up their seats and move to the back of the bus, as was the law. The others complied. Colvin refused.
There you go, Colton.
This is my boy.
Yes. Woo!
Are you done? Yes. Thank you, Colton.
Thank you, Colton.
I love the video, dude. Oh, man. Salute.
Okay, that's at the end right now. God bless America.